What's up guys, DuArktik here with another Marvel Strike Force video, and in this video we are going to take a look at the kit of Mr. Negative, and we are also going to take a look at a few different points about this team. This team is going to have a rework together with Kingpin, Taskmaster, Green Goblin and Nobu, which is a wide variety of characters, and we need to take a look at specific elements of those characters. And if this is going to be a team that you should invest early on, some of the considerations that you should take with each of those characters, because some of these characters might be viable on their own independently and in different game modes. So we're going to talk about all of that on top of giving my first impressions of the kit of Mr. Negative. As always, if you like the information on this video, make sure you share it with your friends on Facebook and Discord. If you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe for more Marvel Strike Force content, and make sure you smash that like button. Okay, so let's get started. Let's take a look at the kit of Mr. Negative, and we are going to start off with the tags: Villain, City, Mystic, Controller and Underworld. That means he might have some viability for Dark Dimension 4 and 5, even 3, and that's something very exciting about this character. So even if you are not using him for War Offense, you can still use him for other game modes like Cosmic Crucible, Dark Dimension and maybe something else. Okay, so let's take a look at his abilities. So flip 2 positive effects on the primary target into negative effects, and attacks the primary target for 300% damage plus 20% additional damage per summoned ally. So as I mentioned before, he's gonna have on his team Kingpin and Nobu. Those are 2 additional summers, so it's very likely that more often than not you are going to have a lot of summons, and that's going to grant this guy 100% additional damage on the basic. So we have to decide based on this if you are going to use him as a striker or as a skirmisher. If he's going to have a big health pool, striker might be something to consider because of the isolate effect. Otherwise, we might want to have the skirmisher to have the additional focus to apply the negative effects, which this character applies some negative effects. Okay, so that was the basic attack. Let's take a look at the special. 8 energy comes full, attack the primary target and applies defense down and ability block. On War Offense, it also applies trauma to the primary target, and then you are going to mind control the character with the lowest speed, and is going to attack twice the primary target. This mind control will have 25% additional damage. After that, if any negative effect was applied from the mind control character, that's going to be on the target, and then you are going to spread all the negative effects that it has on the character. So not only the defense down and ability block, but also if you got some kind of slow or bleed or whatever from the mind control character, you're going to be able to spread all of that. So this ability can be very interesting in different game modes. Now, I feel like this is going to be a counter against Hero Asgardians because they have a lot of slow characters, and also because of the ability block with trauma. So you can apply ability block like to Valkyrie or to Sif or to whichever character you want, and that's going to be very convenient. The defense down and the additional negative effects that you might get might also help you to get rid of the Hero Asgardians as fast as possible. This is a team that people are struggling quite a lot with, and it would be nice to have at least a soft counter against them. Now, this team can also be used against Eternals. Yes, against Eternals, depending how fast they are. But if you can apply defense down, ability block and trauma to Icarus or Cersei, that's going to be massive. Now, this team has summons, so you kinda want to apply the ability block to Icarus and to Cersei. To just Icarus, so he doesn't do his ultimate, right? If he does his ultimate, he's going to attack you twice because he kills your minions. Like this, you apply ability block to Icarus and he's not able to do his ultimate. With the trauma, and we'll also see that you are also going to be able to apply heal block to Icarus. So that's going to help you shut down 100% Icarus, and then you just have to deal with Cersei, and Cersei on her own is not a huge deal. So this special ability looks massive against those two specific teams, against the Eternals and also against the Hero Asgardians. So now let's take a look at the Ultimatum. 3 energy out of 5 on war offense, clear revive once of a primary target. So this might be against Infinity Watch or maybe a soft counter against Dormammu. Attack all enemies and flip all positive effects into negative effects. So once again, this can be used against Eternals because they get a lot of buffs every turn. And it can also be used against Young Avengers, so that's gonna be great. This ability cannot be blocked or dodged, great. So now we have the passive, and on the passive you can see right here, let's talk about this first. Gain 50% additional health and gain 50% additional focus. The allies will also get these buffs, and this is not limited to war, so you will be able to use this team in other game modes and still get the additional 50% health and 50% additional focus. Very, very important, viability outside of war offense. Okay, now in terms of the other abilities on the passive, so on spawn we are going to summon Inner Demon Cyclops. And this Inner Demon Cyclops, you'll see later on that he applies heal block to the enemies. So that's going to be very important. Once again, as I mentioned, against Eternals, if you can apply heal block, trauma and ability block to Icarus, you are going to completely shut down that character on defense. Okay, so then you are going to summon every turn one of the other demons. Inner Demon Dragon, Inner Demon Demon, and Inner Demon Cyclops. Now, I'm going to assume that you can only have 3 on the field at the same time, otherwise you'd be able to get 2 Cyclops, 1 on spawn and 1 on the third turn. Okay, so on the death of a summoned ally, clear 3 random negative effects from all non-summoned Underworld allies. So this is going to be good. And this is why I think this is going to be a counter against Hero Asgardians, because in case Thor uses his ultimate against you and he stuns all of your team, if one of the minions dies, he's going to clear all the stuns away. So usually that's a way to shut down a team with Hero Asgardians, is to stun all of them. But like this, if one of the minions dies, you are going to clear it away, problem solved. Okay, so far the kit of Mr. Negative not looking very impressive. It looks okay on those very specific situations I mentioned. Outside of that, I'm not exactly sure. It really depends on how much damage you can pull off before he does his special. If you can apply like tons of negative effects like blind and bleed with the Taskmaster and then spread it to like Young Avengers or something like that, it's something that we have to consider. The tools are here, but it's not the best tools. The fact that we only have 1 turn of these negative effects can greatly compromise the viability of this team in a wide range of scenarios. Okay, so moving on, we have the minions, and the minions are not super important. What is important about them is that one of them applies bleed and turn rewinds the enemies if they are mystic. So this is going to be like Greg. Greg turn rewinds every enemy, whether they are mystic or not. This is going to turn rewind just the mystic characters. Okay, so the dragon applies bleeds and turn rewinds the enemies by 10%. Then he also has some additional effects. If he dies, he also turn rewinds the enemies again. So this is going to be even better than Greg. It's going to have double effect against mystic characters. Once again, great counter against Hero Asgardians and Eternals. Then we have the Inner Demon Demon. This one is going to apply offense down to characters like Thor to reduce his passive attack. For 2 turns, that's going to be great. Once again, turn rewinds the enemies by 10% if they are mystic. And he also applies stun in Alliance Wars offense, so that's going to be massive as well. A lot of potential with this team in Alliance Wars offense. On death, he also turn rewinds the enemies by 10%. He also applies regeneration to Mr. Negative, so a lot of sustainability here. And finally, we have the Inner Demon Cyclops, the one you get on spawn, which is the one that applies heal block for 2 turns. Heal block as I mentioned before, completely shut down Hero Asgardians and Eternals, especially if they have trauma. Once again, turn rewinds the enemies by 10%. Okay, so that's the kit of Mr. Negative. Okay, so now let's talk about the allies for Mr. Negative. We have Kingpin, we have Green Goblin, the unlimited version, we have Nobu, and we have Taskmaster. Now, Taskmaster on his own is an amazing character, applies blinds and bleeds, unavoidable ultimate. Then he also has a stun that also applies offense down to the enemies with his special, and he also steals positive effects from the enemies, and based on how many allies he has, and especially if they are skilled, he's going to have additional damage. So Taskmaster on his own is great, he just needs a little bit more stats to be even better. Now, in terms of Kingpin and Nobu, those are two city characters that they are quite cheap. Both of them are summoners. One is skilled, the other is mystic. So that's something that we need to take into consideration. Is Kingpin and Nobu going to be viable for Dark Dimension? That's a great possibility. We also have the possibility of pairing them up with other characters, because the flexibility of Kingpin, especially Kingpin, the fact that you can use his ultimate after Omega Red and allow Omega Red to do his ultimate with the offense up, that's going to be massive. That's going to be tons and tons of damage potential that you are giving to characters that would not be able to do otherwise. Then we have Green Goblin, and Green Goblin is the most concerning character here because he doesn't do anything special right now. I wish he has some kind of disruptability that would also increase the viability of this team against UR Asgardians and Eternals. And this team also has other two problems, which is the gear cost. While Kingpin and Nobu, they are cheap characters, Taskmaster and Green Goblin, they are super expensive. Both of them require 5 sets of mini uniques and also require thousands of SBCs, basic catalysts, which is a big problem right now, especially for BioGear. So is this a team that you should rush early on? First, of course not, because Mr. Negative is going to be released only at the end of the patch, so that's going to be somewhat in October, so don't worry about that until then. The viability of the other characters, Green Goblin, we don't know the kits yet, but because he's so expensive right now, because we still have to gear up our web warriors in the meantime, and because we also need to give some love for Red Hulk and the other Gamma characters, Green Goblin is definitely something that you want to consider later on in the patch, back on your priority lists in terms of gearing up. And in terms of Kingpin, I made a video before this one that he might have some viabilities together with Taskmaster for the skill nodes. I'm not exactly sure if that's going to be the main team or whatever. I'm just saying that the possibility is there. Maybe you lost Kestrel and Shang-Chi on the first match and you want to use Kingpin and Taskmaster instead of having to revive them, because right now people are struggling a lot with the medkits and of course reviving the characters on the Doom 3 raid. Now, other thing that we need to take into consideration just to finalize the video is the preparation for this team. You need to make sure that you have a lot, really lot of ISO 8 green controller. We have a protector here, we have this guy, I think he's a support, here we have a blaster, but Mr. Negative and Taskmaster, both of them are controllers, and we also have Spider-Man 2099 also being a controller. So we have 3 main characters being controllers in this patch. So one option that you have, in case you have a lot of ions, is to buy controller ISO 8 from this place. You only do this if you have over 1 million ions. If you don't have over 1 million ions, maybe it's probably too expensive, but it's something that you want to have into consideration. Make sure at least that you have enough ions and ISO 8 to gear up one character of each type. So we have 1 support, 1 protector, 1 controller and 1 blaster. And once again, keep in mind that we also have Web Weaver, she's also a protector, so you should try to double up. We have the only brawler, I think, which is Red Hulk. And finally we have two blasters, one is the Green Goblin and the other is Spider-Man Noir. So that's gonna be the video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. First impressions on the kit of Mr. Negative. Way too many questions on the hair right now because we still don't know the kits of the other characters. We have a lot of possibilities in different game modes for each of these characters, so even if you are not building up the entire team, you might get use out of these characters in different game modes like Dark Dimension, Cosmic Crucible, Alliance Wars, and maybe even Raid. As always, if you like the information on this video, make sure you share it with your friends on Facebook and Discord. If you are new to my channel, make sure you subscribe for more Marvel Strike Force content, and I will catch you guys later.